Hey guys, it's Mike Monte, one half of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. And we want to reach out to all the fans out there who have supported our show to say thank you. Thank you for making 2021 one of our best years. And one of our best years was because of Anchor. Anchor, the way that you can have your voice heard. You can be just like us. Record your own podcast. Use the Anchor tools to edit your podcast. Use it on a phone. Use it on your computer. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all with Anchor, they're totally free. So be just like Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte the Pharaoh. We're looking together for a great 2022. We've got huge guests coming on board. Oh, yeah. You probably wonder why Jimmy's not here right now. Well, he's prepping for one of the best interviews we're about to have, and we're going to surprise someone with. So hang aboard with us, and don't forget, be like us and use Anchor.
And Nitro's Garage for all your automotive needs. Call 646-675-2349. That's 646-675-2349. For all your automotive needs, Nitro's Garage. Ask for Jack.
Do you treat your dog as part of the family? Well, so do we. So why not celebrate your pup's birthday with the ultimate party box? Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Party Pup Info, and let us make your pup's party or any celebration perfection.
Hi, it's your buddy Mike Messier. This is the AEW Apologist video. I believe it's number 30, and I'm going to have a very special announcement at the end of this video concerning the future of my involvement in the Monte The Pharaoh YouTube channel and AEW Apologist. So stick around towards the end. But right now, let's first talk about the big happenings. So I think a big thing that happened this past week or so was this Jon Moxley Wheeler Yuta match and the repercussions. Now, if you saw the match on Rampage, it was a pretty epic, bloody match. Most of the blood, or all the blood, coming from Wheeler Yuta himself in a losing effort. But like that old ECW trope, the guy that goes, there's a difference between going over and getting over, and one guy went over, one guy got over, which was Moxley, but one guy gets over, meaning that he kind of earns the respect and the admiration of the fan base, which would be Wheeler Yuta. And so far as Tony Khan came out after the show in Boston and kind of vocally admonished, or not admonished, but put over, the reverse of admonished, he condoned Wheeler Yuta. Interesting name, by the way. I didn't know if that was an Asian name or what it was. Yuta, I'm not sure the ethnicity of Yuta or the heritage of Yuta, but maybe there'll be more to be told. We haven't seen, at least I haven't seen, a whole lot of the guy on the mic. I mean, he's spoken a little bit about his wanting to be taken seriously. He doesn't want to just be a best friends comedy guy. He wants to be a real guy. And it looks like at this point he is the newest third wrestling member and fourth member overall of what they're calling the Blackpool Fight Club, I believe. The William Regal group with Moxley and Bryan Danielson. So pretty fast company that he's in already. So you have to give the gentleman credit for that. And a lot of people are saying that this is a great example of AEW making a star. You know, that was the criticism that WWE or WWF fans used to throw at WCW all the time. Oh, you didn't make stars. We made all the stars. We made Diesel and Razor. Well, the reality was Kevin Nash as Vinny Vegas and the Wizard of Oz guy, and you know, Razor Ramon as Diamond Stud, and as Big Scott Hall or Gator Scott Hall. They came from WCW first, then they went to WWF, and then they came back. And you know, but you also had guys like Diamond Dallas Page and Sting, who were really born and raised in WCW, as well as Goldberg. Okay, as much as I hate and despise Goldberg, he was a WCW guy. You know, in the mid card, you had guys like, you know, Mortis or Glacier, Norman Smiley. They never spent time in the WWF before they were big names in WCW. Now we get to this generation, and there's tons of, you know, like I like to call them, McIdiot marks, who say that AEW didn't make any stars or can't make any stars, but yet, you know, Jungle Boy, MJF. I mean, MJF recognized as probably the best heel in the business right now. These guys are born and raised in AEW, okay? So now we look at this situation. We have all these talents, Tony Storm, you know, this Wheeler Yuta individual, Keith Lee, you know, he's doing his thing, has this feud with Powerhouse Hobbs. There's plenty of action for the AEW fan to sink their teeth in. Would want to give my respects to the tag team of FTR. They had a great week. Defeating the Briscoe brothers. I did not watch that match. I did not watch that Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Odd timing from AEW. You know, this ROH pay-per-view was scheduled on a Friday night, kind of competing in a sense with AEW Rampage. So that's, you know, unfortunate, but that's what happened when, you know, Tony bought the ROH company. He inherited that time slot for that Friday night pay-per-view and so forth. But just a lot of excitement here. The Briscoes getting defeated by FTR for the ROH tag team title. I guess Wheeler Yuta won their pure wrestling title that same night. So you can already see the influence that Tony is kind of putting over the AEW guys over the ROH guys, similar to how a generation or two ago, the Jim Crockett Promotions wrestlers all went over the UWF wrestlers. Okay, you had Barry Windham come in and win the Western States Heritage Title Tournament, which was a UWF secondary title, but Barry Windham, a Jim Crockett Promotions guy, got it. So it's kind of the same old song and fucking dance. It's like we've seen that Tony Khan, you know, as much as he wants to be the owner of ROH, his baby, his brainchild is still AEW. So he wants to make sure that his guys, namely FTR and in this case Wheeler Yuta, are taken care of. What else? Well, so now there's this whole big thing now that you might have seen if you're an educated wrestling fan, is that apparently the ownership, or not the ownership, but the network, TNT, has merged with Discovery, apparently, or Warner Brothers Media, whatever, has merged with Discovery. So there's some concern already that, you know, the standards and practices of Discovery, the people from their side of the merger are not going to be as accepting or as tolerant of the hardcore wrestling. Would the people behind Discovery Network, would they enjoy things like Nick Gage taking a pizza cutter to Chris Jericho's forehead, or running a pizza cutter through his mouth, or Dr. Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa having a bloody woman's match? So the theory here, folks, is that similarly to the late 90s when WCW was having a lot of trouble with the Turner merger, that, you know, good old Eric Bischoff has talked about so many times on his podcast and in his books. Will this happen here with AEW? Will they have to soften their edges a bit? Will they have to cut out the swearing or the blood or things of that nature? And we don't know right now. I guess it's one of those wait and see type of things, but it is of concern, you know. And to be quite honest with you folks, I've had some concerns about AEW recently, specifically with this ROH purchase. It kind of just makes me think of those old days of Jim Crockett Promotions buying out the Florida territory and the Central States, and it kind of in Mid-South, and it kind of backfired, to be honest, on Jim Crockett Jr. I mean, buying those companies, I think he paid something like $1 million. That number's been disputed for the Mid-South, but whatever he paid for that, paid for Central States, paid for Florida. What did he really get for his money? Jim Crockett Jr. I'm talking about. This is like 86, 87, 88 time period, mostly 86 and 87. And the answer is not much. I mean, he did get some good talents. He did get Sting from Mid-South. He got Barry Windham from Florida. I'm not sure if he got anybody from Central States, maybe Nord the Barbarian, or not Nord the Barbarian, the traditional Barbarian. So to me, and there's already a surplus of good wrestlers. I mean, that's one thing I've said in prior episodes. There's not a shortage of good wrestlers at any given time, really. There's always a ton of wrestlers. Another ass will fill your seat, and so forth. But I do kind of worry a little bit about the future of AEW. Tony's on this big spending campaign. What's his goal? Is his goal to be the #1 wrestling company in the world? Is his goal to compete with WWE, to supplant WWE? That talk of just being an alternative when AEW first started, in a sense, AEW kind of took over the role of alternative from ROH and Impact Wrestling as far as the North America goes. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, 10 or 15 years ago, that Total Nonstop Action Wrestling or Impact Wrestling, they probably peaked around 2009, 2010. Financially, I think their glory years were about 5 years ahead of that. Creatively, 2005, when you had Team 3D just came in, you had Kurt Angle just coming in. But eventually, you know, through a lot of bad decisions and losing network deal after network deal, Impact Wrestling declined greatly. They just didn't seem like they knew what they were doing, to the point where they're putting a men's title on a woman and so forth. So now we're at the point where, you know, to their credit, AEW struck at just the right moment. You know, the WWE was having some really bad years creatively, 2016, 2017. They had lost guys like CM Punk. They had mishandled Daniel Bryan, as they called him. They had a couple of champions back-to-back, John Cena and Roman Reigns, in particular, top baby faces that weren't well liked. I don't care what anybody says about, you know, John Cena and Roman Reigns. The point is, when your top baby face is getting booed out of the arena on a nightly basis, I don't think that's good for wrestling. I don't think that's good for a wrestling company. And I guess the retort would be, it doesn't matter if they're cheering or booing as long as they make noise. Perhaps, but just for the sake of storyline and the sake of creativity and the sake of, you know, good guys and bad guys, the whole thing with John Cena, you know, you could see going back to WrestleMania 22 when he's getting booed versus Triple H, and Triple H was still getting booed. Both guys were getting booed at the beginning of that match. Then Roman Reigns. I mean, how many fucking Raws did we sit through to watch Roman Reigns get booed viciously? I mean, suffering succotash indeed. So the point is, AEW struck right at the right time. There was a vulnerability. There was a thirst for a true alternative. People weren't getting what they wanted from ROH. It was owned by Sinclair Broadcasting. Impact Wrestling was harder and harder to find on the television, or the telly, as they say in the UK. So there you effing have it. I was just watching a video early this morning about the Nightmare Collective, which was like this really bad AEW storyline from the first, 6 months of the promotion. It was like Brandy Rhodes and Awesome Kong and some other lady, and then Luther was in it. And it's funny because I can barely remember that. In fact, I don't really remember it at all. So forth and so on. So here's the deal, folks. All this wrestling stuff we can get all excited about. I can do video after video. You can watch video after video. I can listen to Dave Meltzer and give you my take on what his take is, and telephone, telegraph, telewrestler, all these things going on, accusations and so forth about certain wrestlers and their photographs with their mustaches. All these things are happening, and it's all well and good, but at some point, I have to take care of myself. I have to honor my own talents. I have to take my responsibility now. I mean, I've put the time into my wonderful book, A Distance from Avalon with the Dying and the Dead, now available in hardcover as well as the paperback version you just saw. And now I'm the writer of this wonderful young adult sports novel, Fighter Play Basketball. I'm very happy with. It came out so wonderfully. My friend Benny Scala with a nice opening page and everything. So I'm just spending so much time with my own creativity, my own intelligence, writing wonderful stories that can greatly influence people's lives for the better. And then I look at something like the pro wrestling world, where it's all a bunch of egomaniacal individuals cutting their foreheads open for the enjoyment of 12-year-olds, having sex with what they call rats, okay? How deplorable is that? And you're asking me of my intelligence to care about these wrestlers? Well, I've kind of lost my smile when it comes to these individuals. I've defended these wrestlers my whole life. I've defended the sport of professional wrestling my whole life. And if they're going to wrestle plastic dolls in Japan and 9-year-old girls in Japan and stick their thumbs up each other's buttocks in California, I don't know if this is something that I need to defend or if I want to defend, quite honestly. I mean, if they're not going to treat that ring like the sacred battleground that it is, and if all these podcast guys want to give away all these industry secrets and tell us how the sausage is made, well, you don't need a real intelligent pro wrestling aficionado like myself to chime in every goddamn week, now do you? I can't do it. I can't carry the weight of intelligent wrestling conversation on my back much longer, okay? Or on this regular basis. I have to do what's best for me. The pro wrestling industry has had its opportunity to hire me as a creative writer. They failed in that opportunity. And now I'm going to take care of my needs, my demands, my intelligence. And in this pro wrestling world, full of these false promises, okay, it's beneath me, all right? So I'm advocating this position. This is the final AEW Apologist video number 30. If you've only seen a few of these, you can go back on the Monte The Pharaoh YouTube channel, and I appreciate them giving me this opportunity for this forum for these 30 weeks. You can watch every single AEW Apologist video. You can go over to subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel, see plenty of clips from wrestling, my interviews with Bob Backlund, my interviews with Sandman, my good friend Ox Baker, and John Cronus, the Wrestling Sun movie. You can explore all the wonderful things. But as far as me, Mike Messier, I have to concentrate on my own talents as a writer, my own talents as an actor, my own talents as a human being in society. And what I'm going to do, and I've discussed this with the Monte The Pharaoh board of members, is I'm going to hand my spot, so to speak, to a very worthy historian of pro wrestling. This historian of pro wrestling will be starting here on this very Monte The Pharaoh YouTube channel next week. he will be